Surprise, surprise, I'm going to be looking at another one of my favorite band's music videos. Hi everyone, and welcome to my music video commentary series, Let's Talk Music with Emma Frisbie, with me, Emma Frisbie. I cannot believe we've already made it to the third and final episode of this series. I feel like I just started filming all of them last week. In the past two episodes, we discussed two different types of music videos. In episode 1, we discussed performance, and in episode 2, we discussed narrative music videos, and we looked at an example of each. And if you missed those two episodes, you're definitely going to want to check them out. I will link them in the description below. In this episode, we're going to be ending the series off with experimental music videos. And these types of videos, for lack of better words, are a little bit weird. They're kind of funky, and they usually have like crazy visuals, either crazy visual effects or crazy backgrounds and setups and set design, which is all very fun. So something really cool about the experimental type of music video is that there's actually two subcategories. On the one hand, we have experimental videos that have no performance and no storyline. And on the other hand, we have experimental videos that are kind of a mix of both. These types of videos are also just great for building up hype around the song more so than the other two types. With this type, the song takes complete center stage and all the visuals are kind of centered around the song. The experimental type is always really cool because if you go and try and search it on YouTube, you will never find two videos that are exactly the same or have the same effects and stuff like that. Experimental videos are just so out there and so unique that you're never going to find two that are exactly the same. So for this episode's main example, surprise, surprise, I'm going to be looking at another one of my favorite band's music videos. We are going to be focusing on the Fleet Foxes music video for their song, Can I Believe You? As always, we're going to do a little bit of background on the band before we jump into it. The Fleet Foxes are an American indie folk band from Seattle, Washington that formed in 2006. The group is made up of Robin Pecknold, who is the lead vocalist and guitarist, Skylar Shellset on guitar and mandolin, Casey Westcott on keys and mandolin, Christian Wargo on bass and guitar, and Morgan Henderson on upright bass, guitar, woodwinds, violin, percussion, and saxophone. The band first started getting popular after the release of their second EP, Sunshine, in 2008, and the release of their second studio album, Helplessness Blues, in 2011. In total, they've released 4 studio albums: Fleet Foxes in 2008, Helplessness Blues in 2011, Crack Up in 2017, and my personal favorite, Shore, in 2020. They've also released 2 EPs, The Fleet Foxes in 2006 and Sunshine in 2008. Today we're looking at a song from their most recent studio album, Shore. So this album was obviously released in the middle of the pandemic and kind of in this period of world crisis that we've all been facing. And throughout this album, we kind of hear the band reminiscing over pre-COVID times and reminiscing over that time period where they released the Crack Up album in 2017. The band has also said that this album was meant to be a life preserver in this ocean of bad news. This album also seems positive and hopeful that good news is on the way and we are going to make it out of this situation okay. Can I Believe You is the third song on their album, Shore. In the past, lead singer Robin Pecknold has struggled and has opened up about struggling with his mental health and anxiety and depression. And he also discusses how the pandemic has not helped that at all. And I think this is something that we can all relate to. I think collectively as a people, we all hit a really low point during the pandemic. We were unable to see our friends, our family, our lives were ripped away from us in a minute. Throughout, we hear the main chorus over and over again, Can I Believe You? This kind of introduces us to the two different sides of Pecknold. We have the I, which represents his true self and his true identity, and then we have the you, which represents his anxiety and his depression. And throughout this song, he's arguing and pleading with this darker side of himself. He continues to ask him and ask you, is this really myself? Can I trust you? Can I believe you? So with the pandemic and Pecknold's mental health in mind, this video begins with 2 people dancing, and this is going to be one of those experimental music videos that combines the story and performance. Even if no one is singing the song, they are dancing, they are performing, and it does tell a story throughout. I feel like on the surface, this video may appear as an experimental video that doesn't have any storyline and doesn't have a performance. We see the push and pull between these two dancers and how they never really cross paths. Both of the dancers wear neutral clothing that really contrasts with the bright backgrounds that we see throughout, and they do switch to different colors throughout. There's really intricate choreography and dancing throughout, But then there's more of like normal and casual outfits. We can see the push and pull between these two characters and how they can never really end up together. We see them never crossing paths. They get very close, they end up standing back to back. They never really get to dance with each other. Towards the end, we can actually see them physically being pulled back by this giant piece of fabric, and they are literally separated with a wall. Something I think is interesting is how they decided to show this push and pull between them, and how these two characters, they really want to get back together, but something is holding them back. We see the woman only move from the right to the left of the screen, and the man will only move from the left to the right of the screen. So they're just trying to get back together. They're always trying to find each other when they will never find each other. So the band has actually said that this video is supposed to be an interpretation of trust, especially during recent events like the pandemic, which I think is super interesting. We never see these people get back together in this video. There's one thing that is always keeping them apart, and I think this one thing is the pandemic. During the pandemic, we were all separated from our friends, from our families, from our lives, and I think we're just constantly being pulled back. And I think it's kind of good that they bring attention to the pandemic. Obviously, it was released in the middle of the pandemic, but I think it's something we can all relate to. There's this lack of human connection that we all suffered from, and like this big frustration. Towards the end, we see this barrier, this wall literally in between them that represents the pandemic. It is literally holding them back from being with each other and seeing each other. We only see the woman's side at the end, but there's this realization, and she kind of succumbs to the fact that I'm not going to be able to see him. I'm not going to be able to be with him. And she ends up slowly walking back from the wall, turns around, and it's the first time she turns around towards that way the whole video. And she kind of just sits down on the ground, takes her shoes off, curls up into a little ball in the snow, and that's how the video ends. So obviously this is one of my favorite examples of an experimental music video. It combines the storyline aspect and performance aspect of it, even if they aren't singing the song. It just has such a uniqueness, and it brings so much life to the song, and it's really relatable even if it is experimental. But there are some other great experimental music videos out there. Let's look at a few examples. The Glass Animals always have a really unique take on them. Their video for Your Love, Deja Vu, is a great example of an experimental music video. There's this interesting coloring and like bright colors, and it's kind of inverse effect that really keeps the video interesting and engaging. Another really cool example of an experimental video is probably an artist that you used to know. Someone that I used to know by Godier has a very cool music video. The two artists are singing in front of this painted wall while they also continue to get painted and start to blend in with the wall. My last example is Adventure of a Lifetime, the video from Coldplay. I feel like everyone has kind of seen this one. The band is actually portrayed by these animated gorillas, and they all play their respective instruments, and they sing and they dance throughout the video. It's just a classic example of an experimental music video. It's just out there. Like, who would think to just be like, yeah, I think we should be animated gorillas for this video. Experimental music videos bring this excitement and uniqueness to the song or the album, whether it relates to it or not. The music video can still hold meaning and have a storyline and performance and kind of combine those two, or it can have no meaning at all and just be whatever your emotions or moods or motivations or anything that went into the production of this song. And that's what really makes them great, the uniqueness and the variety of this type of music video. What's your favorite experimental music video? And if you don't have a favorite yet, definitely search them up on YouTube. You will find that no two are the same, and they are so crazy and so interesting and just amazing. I hope you all enjoyed this series as much as I did. I loved filming it and editing it and getting to talk about my favorite videos while also providing some information about the 3 different types. Until next time, this has been Let's Talk Music with Emma Frisbie, and thank you so much for watching.